priceless experiences. Napa Valley wine tasting, spoiling my women friends. Sitting at the table with millionaires. The narrative is tax loops, accounts offshore squares. It's not allowed.
We are live, we are live, we are live. What's good, what's good? Welcome back to CoinGate Ministries, the #1 home for personal development, the place where people come and get a mind shift, a mind upgrade, the place where people come in an ordinary thinker and they leave an extraordinary thinker. What's up to you? As always, if you can hear me, press 1, and if you can see me, press 2. If you can hear me, press 1, and if you can see me, press 2. It's such an honor to be back with the family yet again to build on that abstract ministry. It's an honor to be in the building as we engage in that out the box philosophy. What's good with y'all? What it do? How y'all doing? We're gonna do some preaching today, right? We're gonna do some preaching today. How y'all feeling out there? All right. Welcome to Coin Gang. If this is your first time here, welcome. Welcome. It's an honor. And if you are returning, I just want to let you know that there's no me without you, right? You make this thing go with your attention, with your likes, with your shares. It matters. So I appreciate you. All right. Who we got in the chat so far? Let me dive in the chat real quick. Who we got in the chat? Oh, I'm going to go. What's good, Jay? I'm definitely going to go. We dealing upstairs today, right? We're going to go to a place not many other people can go, right? We're going to question the unquestionable, right? So we're going to go in a place today where not many people can go, right? And I want y'all to slow grind it with me, right? Shout out to y'all. What's up, love? Peace. Sean, what's happening, bro? Been rocking with the kid for hellas. Salute to you. Peace. What's good, Keisha? What's happening? All the way from Charleston. Glad to have you. What's good? What's happening? Richard Spence, man, we got family in the building. I hope y'all know that some of these names that y'all seeing, they ain't new to this. They true to this. Some of these people been rocking with me for a very, very long time, man. You know what I'm saying? We are definitely game related when it comes to this coin gang thing. So salute to y'all. What's popping? If you got babies, you already know what I'm going to say. Make sure you hug on them. Make sure you love on them. Make sure you keep them real close to you because this life thing is real tricky and things move fast. So if you got babies, little ones, I don't give a damn if they think they grown and they feeling themselves. Make sure you love on them. All right. Oh, hold on. I seen a first time person. Hold on real quick. First time. What's up with you? Love, peace. That's what's up. You here for the first time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. If you got anybody in your life trying to love on you, man, be patient with them. You know your ass is hard to love, so be patient with your loved ones, right? Don't give each other a hard time. Don't make each other a punching bag trying to prove how much they love you. Life is short, all right? Remember that. Life is short. If you're on Facebook, right below, there's this little heart thing. That is a supporter badge. If you like what you hear today, make sure you go ahead and press that and become a monthly supporter. If you're on YouTube, the super chat is your friend. Don't be shy, right? Support the game. And if you see that Cash App, which is right there, that is your best friend. So I definitely want you to use it. And anything you hear today, if you would like to follow up, right there is Nothing But Game Hotline, 888-565-8734. 888-565-8734. This is a number that you should lock in your phone. You might wake up at 2 a.m. and you want to talk about some game, or you have something on you that you need somebody to help you work through it. I am your man. I'm definitely the man for the job. So make sure you put the Nothing But Game hotline in your number, in your phone, 888-565-8734. Memorize this number. It can save your life. Y'all ready? My book of the day today is an important book because it goes with my subject matter. All right. My book of the day is a dictionary on world religions, and it goes with my topic today. Now, in this book right here, it has detailed everything supernatural that man has created, from religions to rituals to anything you can think of from all around the world, right? If it has ever been written down, it is in this book. This is my book of the day. This is an important book because it's dealing with our subject matter today. You might want to check this out because you'll see that spirituality and rituals and religion comes in a lot of varieties, from desert people to mountain people to people that live in cold regions to people that live in dense environments to people that live on the prairies. They've all came up with some type of religious ideology, some type of spirituality, right? You should check this book out and you should have it in the stash, especially if you're trying to understand human behavior. This is my book of the day, and this actually goes with our subject matter today, right? So it's a complete guide to world religions. Very, very thick book, and has everything that you can think of, everything that humans have ever written down on paper, on stone, on papyrus, you name it, is in this book. You want to check it out. Today, we're going to talk about the power of the mind. A lot of people like when we go here, right? We're going to talk about the power of the mind. We're going to talk about the creation controls the creator. We're going to talk about a term that I want you to get familiar with. It's called anthropomorphism. Make sure you got your nerd hat on today because we're going to nerd out, all right? We're going to keep it upstairs and we're going to definitely nerd out. So the word, that word is anthropomorphism. We're going to talk about the gods of tomorrow, and we're going to talk about God is tribal. We're going to talk about the power of the mind. The creation controls the creator. We're going to talk about anthropomorphism, gods of tomorrow, and God is tribal. That's our bullet points today. So if you want to take notes, we will be discussing all of that. Our subject matter today is gods versus man, the creation and the created. The creation and the created. Y'all good? Today, we're definitely delving in our abstract ministry bag today. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to do too much. We're going to delve in our abstract ministry bag. So if you're ready, press 1 in the chat if you are ready. Let me know who's in the building, right? We're definitely going to nerd out. And I want you to know what we do today. I just want you to compare. I want you to compare how many other places can do what we're about to do today, right? Because we're about to go upstairs, right? So if you got your vape and you got your joint, you're going to need it. So I have a question, right? I have a question. Up. Shout out to Jay. Right on time. You came through in the first 10 minutes. You already know what's happening, right? Anytime that super chat comes into the first 10 minutes, that's what make it a classic show, right? You see how when that money come on the wood, my spirit change. I go from dead to, ooh. You see? Shout out to Jay for understanding the assignment. Now we good. Keep them coming, though. Keep them coming. I have a very philosophical message today. I have a philosophical question that before you answer, I want you to think about it for a second. All right? You ready for the question? All right. Did men create the gods, or did the gods create men? That is my philosophical question today. You know, Zeus, Athena, Dionysus, Mithra, right? Did the gods create men, or did men create the gods? Did Allah create men, or did men create Allah? Did Yahweh create man, or did man create Yahweh? Did Jesus create man, or did man create Jesus? That is our philosophical question today. Any God that you can think of, did the gods create us, or did we create the gods? Let's go in the chat. Let's see what y'all say. All right. Man created gods. Okay. How do you know? How do you know? All right. Men created gods. Okay. Both. Anybody else? Men created gods. What do y'all think? Men created gods. Okay. We created gods. Okay, we got some interesting thinkers in the building, because you know this in a period of time would be considered heresy. You would be a heretic if you said something like this out of your mouth. And there was times in history where if you talk like this, you would be killed. Give and take from both. All right. Anybody else? Richard Spence says, man created gods to have an advantage over other men. Damn, okay. Men are gods lying dormant to realization. Ooh. People must have ate some edibles today. All right. Okay, let me see. What else we got? If it can be created, it can be destroyed. All right. Okay. Anybody else? There will be no gods if it didn't come from the tongue of man. I must got the mushroom group or the ayahuasca or the I got the tinfoil hat crew. All right. Damn, y'all coming with it. People created gods to explain the unexplainable. I don't even need to do the damn show. I don't even need to do this. We might as well switch topics, right? Y'all on the money today. Let me see. Damn. Man created gods to try to understand existence. Sheesh. I just want y'all to recognize what kind of chat we have. I just want you to recognize what kind of chat we have, right? All right. Oh, damn. Well, I'm gonna go through the message anyway, but goddamn. Shout out to the Coin Gang family for being above the neck people. Now I got a question, another question. Who needs who more? Does man need God more, or does God need man more? I'm gonna throw a few questions out there. Who needs who? Does God need man, or does man need God? What do y'all think? Y'all pretty damn sharp today, if you ask me. Okay. God created man. Man interpret what God is. Okay. All right. All right. So my question, Jermaine, who needs who in this relationship? Does man need God, or does God need man? If you say that God created man, right? Does God need man to exist? What would happen if man just stopped existing? What would God do? Shout out to Danny. She said, I did study on the origin of the word God, Germanic roots. Now I'm not sure about that word. We will get there. Trust me. My question for Jermaine is, if God created man, who needs who? Okay. All right. We need God because of our tendency towards self-destruction. Y'all got to stop sleeping on the women, man. Y'all got to stop sleeping on the women. God would stop existing too. Bingo. You got to stop sleeping on the women, right? You know, everything is dual. When you destroy the left side, you also destroy the right side. When you destroy upstairs, you also destroy downstairs. If there is no man, then there would be no God. You got to stop sleeping on the women. What if I told you, well, some of y'all know, what if I told you that man created God and not the other way around? We can prove that right now. We can prove right now that man created God. You want to prove it? Sure. Some of the women already showed you already. First of all, it's a word. It's a word trying to describe something. The word does not come from a supernatural source. The word comes from the mind of man. This is how powerful each and every one of us are. When we are sitting in the car with our worst enemy, a lot of times that is our mate, right? We created that. Times when we are in disease, we created that. Times where we are not lucky or we're less fortunate, we created that. We create our gods and our devils. How many times have you heard me say that words create worlds? Words create worlds. Man created God because God is just a word. And it doesn't mean what you think it means. And the word tends to change depending on the environment that it is used. Okay? Now, God, Old English, boom. Look at how it comes. Old English. Are you Old English? Is your ancestry Old English? That's important. That is important because words have a connection to the people that originated. I'll give you an example. If you was in Philly, you would hear people say John. Now that's an interesting word because John can be a person, John can be a gun, John can be a car too. But guess what? If a person in Oakland uses the word John, it don't hit the same like somebody from Philly saying the word. The same as someone saying hyphy that's not from the Bay. See, they know where to use the word. They have total command of the word. But if somebody from Miami says, yeah, man, we about to get hyphy, it doesn't have a relationship to their blood. See, they have a dance for hyphy. They know exactly where to place that word. So if God is Old English and you are not Old English, what would happen if you use the word? How do you know that the word is unlucky when you use it? You're not from there. Remember, when people win wars, they pull you into their language. And how they use the language does not work the same for you. So God, Old English, supreme deity, Christian God, image of God, godlike person, from Proto-Germanic, Guthen or Guthen. Also Old Saxon, Phoenician, Dutch God, Old High German, Got, German Got, Old Norse, Gothic. Gothic? Gothic? If you see Gothic people right now, you would associate them with devil worshipers. Do you remember how Marilyn Manson used to look? He had a Gothic appeal to him. Well, the word God has Gothic origins. But wait a minute now. Y'all love that word though. Granny uses that word when y'all pray now. But if I asked you to be Gothic, especially if you was American Negro, you're gonna say no because you're hella superstitious. So if I told you to be a Gothic right now, you would say no. But why would you say no when the word God has Gothic origins though? I told you I'm gonna do some preaching today. I told you I'm gonna do some preaching today. And I'm just getting started now. Now, see, on this one, you're gonna have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you are not willing to be Gothic, how come you're comfortable using the word God? See, language is powerful. And what we're dealing with right now, ladies and gentlemen, is etymology. The origins of the word and how it changes based on the environment and people's pronunciation. So anybody in the chat, I have a question for you. Are you willing to be Gothic? Yes or no? Because if you're not willing to be Gothic, then you cannot use Gothic words. Is anybody willing to be Gothic? If you are, all good. Because you would have to be for the word to mean something to you. You are using other people's terminology and expecting a particular or specific result. And if you become Gothic, then you take on all the traditions that come with it. Anybody willing to be a Visigoth or Gothic? Anyone? You good? Okay, let's keep reading. So the word God is that which is evoked. The old church of Slavonic, to call, Sanskrit, huta, invoked. To call, evoke. Interesting. Summoned to a sacrifice. Summoned to a sacrifice. Now, my question would be, when these people created the word God, did it have a positive intention to it? Did it mean good? Because Granny said God is good all the time. So when the word was created by humans, not from the supernatural, it was created by humans. Did it have a positive intention? Because it says divine entity summoned to a sacrifice. Let's go down. But to some trace it to pie, poured, from the root g, to pour a libation, referring to a burial mound. Given the Greek facts, the German form may have referred to the first instance, to the first spirit in an eminent in a burial mound. See also Zeus. In either case, not related to good. Wait a minute. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Let's read that again. Given the Greek facts, the Germanic form may have referred in the first instance to the spirit eminent in a burial mound. See also Zeus. In either case, not related to good. So when did God become good? When did God become good? Because the original intent for the word had nothing to do with good. Popular etymology has long derived God from good, but a comparison of the form shows that to be an error. Let's read that again. Popular etymology has long derived God from good, but a comparison of the form shows this to be an error. Moreover, the notion of goodness is not conspicuous in the heathen conception of deity, and good itself, the ethical sense, is comparatively late. Originally a neuter noun in Germanic, the gender shifted to masculine after the coming of Christianity. Wait a minute. See, this is important while we read slowly, right? Originally, a neuter noun in Germanic, the gender shifted to masculine after the coming of Christianity. So if it shifted to masculine, what was the word God before it shifted? Now, if you just came, we are dealing with the word God, the word. Now, as we see from the data, that prior to its changing in Christianity, God wasn't masculine. It was something else. We also see that it wasn't good either. It's something else. The reason why it can change forms and meaning is because humans created God. So when you create something, you can change it however you see fit. Wherever you're from, God is going to represent that environment. Whatever you're going through, God is going to represent that which you are going through. But the word God does not come from any supernatural sources, and it actually doesn't represent anything supernatural. It represents man. Let's continue reading. Originally a neuter noun in Germanic, the gender shifted to masculine after the coming of Christianity. Old English God probably was closer in sense to Latin numen, a better word to translate deus, having been Proto-Germanic Anus, but this was used only of the highest deities in the Germanic religion and not of foreign gods. And it was never used of the Christian God. It survives in English mainly in the personal names beginning in OS. Quote, I want my lawyer, my tailor, my servants, even my wife to believe in God, because it means that I shall not be cheated and robbed and cuckolded less often. If God does not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. Voltaire. Pete, I want my lawyer, my tailor, my servants, even my wife to believe in God, because it means that I shall be cheated and robbed and cuckolded less often. If God does not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. Invent. So when I ask who created God, or who created who, did man create God or did God create man? And who needs who more? Humans need God to exist. But why, though? Because the creation ends up controlling the creator. Hmm. Who needs who more? Who benefits off the world believing in God? Who benefits? Because those that we call the elite, does it look like that they have the same belief system as you, but they have more than you? And you know how we rationalize that? The meek shall inherit the earth. We will suffer, right? We will try to reason why we're going through pain because we say there is something greater in the hereafter. Meanwhile, we watch other people have heaven on earth, right? And to justify that, we'll say, well, those are the lost people. They sold their soul. Meanwhile, your stomach sound like Yogi the Bear. Roar! Roar! Your stomach is growling. And the way that you have learned to justify that is that they will have their heaven in, or you will have your heaven later, but go through pain now. So who benefits from you believing in God? Who benefits? Does the government benefit? Because I seen some interesting power during the quarantine. I seen that the government was able to close God's supposed house. The house of the Lord was closed by the government like that. How is that possible? I also seen something very interesting during the pandemic. That prayer didn't stop COVID. And nobody's God stood in front of a vaccine. Churches and temples were closed. Boom. Government said so. People was losing their jobs. They had to get vaccinated. Boom. Where was all of people's gods? Because right then and there, I should have seen the power of your gods. What I did see was the power of the government. So, if there is a God, it would have to be the government, because the government has the power to raise interest rates, or the Fed, whatever, the raise interest rates. It has the power to close your business, power to close your church, and nothing came out from heaven to stop it. So who benefits from you believing in God? What did Voltaire say again? I want my lawyer, my tailor, my servants, even my wife to believe in God, because it means that I shall be cheated and robbed and cuckolded less often. If God does not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. Now, we just looked at the word God, the etymology of it, and we know that it has European origins, specifically Old English, specifically Gothic, right? And we know not what Ken says, what the writing says about the word, that the word never meant good. But it was important, if you're a slave, for the name of God to mean good. Because how else could I rationalize a traumatizing experience like that? I would have to say God is good all the time. Because how else could I explain this situation I'm in? It has to be part of God's plan, right? So who benefits from God? The interesting thing about humanity, right? The interesting thing about humanity is Even if they don't use the word God, humanity will be in awe of phenomenon and begin to create different type of folklores depending on where you live in the world. Now I need the chat to help me out real quick. And I like to say, for those watching in the cloud, I have the smartest chat. I put my chat intellect versus anybody chat intellect. I don't care if you have 1 million followers. I'll put my small crew against your crew any day of the week when it comes to thinking. Now, y'all might beat us with the and the petty and the talking points. Cool. We will outbook you. We will outthink you. We will outdiscipline you. We will outintellect you. Book it. Now, I need people in the chat to tell me. I'm going to show you some pictures, right? Tell me what would be the God of this area. Because humans create things or folklore or based on phenomena. They create traditions and rituals based on phenomena that happen into the environment. So, what would be the God here? If you was a tribe, if you belong to a tribe of people, and this is where you grew up, what would be the God? Your legends would be based on what? Your song and dance would be based on what? And if you did any type of human sacrifice, what would you sacrifice humans to? Volcano. Stop sleeping on the women, I'm telling y'all. Volcano. Volcano. Volcano, for sure. Right? For sure. That volcano would be your God. You wouldn't use that word. You would call it something else. But if I came to your land and you conquered me and you brought me into your traditions, first off, I might be a sacrifice to your God, right? And you would think that it was important that you sacrifice me to your God so you would have a good harvest or you would experience some good luck, because you don't want that volcano to erupt because you've seen what it has done in the past, right? And you're going to link whatever happened in the past to some type of error or human behavior flaw that you have. So to appease the gods, you're going to sacrifice me. So if you live here, this is your God. Now, the thing you're going to do too is there's something else here that you don't see that's going to take the characteristics of a gender. You may call this a male God. That is called anthropomorphism. We will touch on that later. But there will also be a female element somewhere. The female element may be mercy, or the female element can be this volcano, and the male element can be mercy. But that's what humans do. If you lived here, what would be your God? If you lived here, what would be your God? Anybody? What would be your God? JJ said glacier God. Ice of the glaciers. Iceberg. Okay. All those are correct answers. Your God would be related to the cold. Your God would be related to the winter. right? The god would be related to something regarding this element right here, right? And here's the ill shit. You would create folklore about a Yeti too. Because you would say that any kind of punishment that you're facing, the god would send a representation of his power, which would be some type of beast. Now, if you have watched TV for a long time, you have seen if there was any type of, in cold areas, the opposite of Bigfoot is like a Yeti. So the Yeti would come do all the punishment or all the work of that ice god. You see how this works? So if you live here, your god is that volcano. If you live here, your god is that ice. Now, here too, the same rules apply. It may be some big crocodile. It may be something that comes in the representation of that god to punish you. It could be something from the or nature. Some monster in that forest. Here it be the Yeti. If you lived here, what would be your god? Now, do you notice? So far, the god is going to match the element. So if you are in that jungle with that volcano, that's going to be the god. If you are in that Arctic, that's that cold or that ice, those glaciers are going to be the god. What would be the god here? And if I came there, right? And I was yelling, you would say, shh, you don't want to upset the gods, right? So the god would appear to the people as some type of sandstorm or some type of quicksand that sucks the people down. If you lost a child, you would say that the sand is unhappy. Not only do you have the sand, you also have the heat in this environment. This is how gods are created. And when those stories are passed down, each generation begins to tweak the story depending on what's going on. Now, if the sand or the wind blows the sand at 150-mile-an-hour gust while there's an eclipse, the people are going to link whatever is happening in the cosmos to the way that wind is blowing, and that's going to be a new story. So the people are going to decide if they should do sacrifices every time that eclipse comes, because they're going to link that eclipse to the way the wind was blowing the sand. This is how you create gods. This is how it's done. Remember, you and I was born in the 60s, 70s, 80s. We was born into a God system. And because it was passed down from granny, you actually probably never questioned what it actually means. We just do it. And if you're from Black America, we have put food associated with God and a dance associated with God, praise and worship. We have we got our Sunday's best. You got them old ladies with the candy in their purse and the fire church hats. So you're not necessarily dealing with the theology, or you're not even dealing with the scientific aspect of the word or your belief system. You're more engaged with Southern tradition. So you do it. This is where you see your family members and friends. It's not necessarily about if these stories are true or not. You're not really concerned if Jesus and Horus have the same story, or if Jesus and Mithra have the same story. You're not really concerned if the winter solstice is actually what the resurrection of Christ means. You know, the sun dying on the third day and then resurrecting. Oh, you know, the winter solstice, when the sun goes to the lowest point and then on the 25th day it rises. No. See, that right there would be considered astrotheology. You know, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 zodiacs, 12 disciples, 12 zodiacs. Jesus died at age 33. How many vertebrae in the spine? No. You're not concerned with that. You're more concerned with the tradition of the entertainment of the choir and the dancing and the songs that grandmama and them sing, Amazing Grace. And come on, man, I like BB and CC whining too. I go way back with the Mississippi Mass choirs. Stop playing. I go old Fred Hampton. Stop playing. I go back with Kirk Franklin, Melodies from Heaven, Kirk Franklin. Stop playing with me. I go back. I had the first Kirk Franklin God's Property album. Stop playing. I went to church on Monday. Huh? We had to put the fan in the window in my church. It was so hot. Stop playing. See, that's what our connection is too. See, I come from that. I sang in the choir. I knew everybody in my church shout move by heart. Okay, there goes Sister Catherine. She about to do that chicken wing. Oh, there go Brother Chester. Look at this move. Look at this move. Look at the move. And I was always stunned how everybody would remember their move. How do you got that go-to move? Like, it's never a new move. Everybody had a signature shout move. You had the men that's gonna run around the whole church, right? See, my church had the streets in it, right? My church had all the ex crackheads and ex hoes. See, and that was an opportunity for people to express themselves. We had women in the church that used to be on the whole stroll. So when she shouted and when she screamed, and it's no judgment. I know exactly why she screamed. But see, when you coming from that background, you don't have time for no astrotheology. You don't have time for no Egyptology. You don't have time to do the knowledge and research on none of this. You need something. You need something to take this molestation off you. You need something to take these streets off you. And they said that Jesus was a redeemer. So that's what these people went to. So I don't, no judgment, because I come from it. Right? We had a white pastor. And he would take people in the back, right? And he would take a bucket, right? And a garbage can. And he would get the people to throw up in the bucket. because he said you need to be delivered, right? That was rebuking you. Get the demons out. So people was throwing up in the bucket, screaming. There was a form of exorcism going on back there, right? Now, these was people from the streets, right? And the people that this happened to, they never was the same after that, right? Now, how was these people so vulnerable that they would allow this? I'm talking about screaming at the top of their lungs, throw up everywhere, right? Rebuking, right? So I know the power of this shit. So I was there as a little boy. Because the people didn't know what God meant. See, if you look like me, then your introduction to God is through a slavery perspective. That's why it's about hope, right? If you're European, God is about acquisition. Let's go through the environments again. If you live here, then God is that volcano. If you're here, then God is that ice and that cold. If you're here, then God is that heat and that sand, right? The God is always going to represent the environment that you come from. In my church, everybody was from the streets. Everybody was from low income. So their introduction to the faith or the religion or God was from we need something, hope. But if you come from somewhere else, God represents you through acquisition. This is why people that have this skin tone have all the God and all the faith, but don't have all the money. And others, and those that don't look like me, they don't have the same faith. They don't know the scriptures like the people that look like me, but they have all the land, all the money, all the pig feet, all the hog maw. Because God represents acquisition, manifest destiny. You see, God is very flexible depending on who uses it. How is that possible? Because man created God. So if you foul as hell, God is foul as hell. If you're loving and you're kind, then God is loving and kind. Why? Because God exists in the minds of the people. It's just a word. We just went through it. Man created God. Now, the key is if you seem like you have the secrets of the nature of this thing that we call God, right? Then people will flock to you. People will wait for your insights and wait for your interpretation. But the secret is it's a Germanic word, right? And it never meant good. But to us, when you come from a Jim Crow or when you come from a background of slavery, well, you need any hope that you can get. So a word that was never good, you're going to make it good because what else do you have? You need something to keep you strong to persevere through this hellish experience. Environment. Do you know what you're looking at right now, anyone? Does anybody know what I'm showing you right now? Because man created God, but God is tribal, right? Do you know what you're looking at right now? Because there are people that lived in this environment right here. Do you know what this is? Let me tell you about Bizarro World. Everything that's up is really down, and everything that's down is really up, and you don't know what's what. You can't tell the difference between a thing because you are born in this, and you may think that this is how the world always was. And the news cycle has a way to keep us very busy. So we have no clue. Anybody want to take a shot at what we're looking at right now? What is this? Anybody? That's ice that you're looking at. Okay. What you are looking at is an ice sheet that covered Europe. When this ice sheet covered Europe, there were people living there. My question to you, the people that lived in this environment when this ice sheet covered them, what kind of God would they have? The question is, for the people living in this environment, what kind of God would they have? Would they have a friendly God? What do you think? Would they have a kind God? Would they have a caring God? Thank you very much. They would have an angry God. Now, have you ever heard God is a jealous God? If you don't praise him, the rocks will cry out. What kind of egomaniac would be like, you know what? Since you don't want to look at me, I'm going to make these rocks do it. That's what my mama told me. You better praise God, because if you don't praise God, he'll make the rocks cry out. I was like, damn. Really? I'm like, this God is sassy as hell. So you mean to tell me if I don't give you no attention, you're going to make these rocks right here look at you? Now, what kind of supernatural being would have that hoish ass behavior that has to come from a human? Because the only person that ever told me that was a female. You know, Ken, if you ain't fucking with me, one of these niggas gonna like it. Somebody gonna look at me. You ain't, that's hella sassy. A woman has told me that before. You don't like it, somebody else will. I'm like, damn. For real? So God has that behavior? Like, if you don't, God is a woman then. You know what, Ken? I'm sick of your shit. You don't want to look at me? I'm going to make all these other niggas look at me. You ain't gonna get no income tax check. I'm blocking all your blessings. You ain't getting a damn thing. I've been good to you. If God is a woman, that's how God would be talking to me if God was a woman. Just sassy like that. I've been good to you. I've been down with your ass. All them other bitches wasn't there, and it was just me. You don't want to look at me? Tuh. I'm gonna make Kevin Samuels look at me. A jealous God, an angry God, right? The people that came out of Europe came out of an ice age. That's all they knew. They barely seen the sun. So when they come to other people, they don't have a place to show brotherhood. How could they? How could they show brotherhood coming from an environment like that? Here's a better picture. You see that top half? That's all ice. Now look at Africa and look at South America and look at Australia. There goes your answer if you ever wanted to know, man, how did these people get conquered? There goes your answer. Because when that ice melted and then people came out of that, they came out of that like a bat out of hell. And when they came out of it with their gods. And they mixed their God personality with Mesopotamian God system, Judeo-Christian, right? And when they went to Africa and South America and the Caribbean and Australia, they gave the people the blues. Do you know why? Is because of the lifestyle that they have lived for so long. Understand something. When you have to chase and trap your food, it does something to your brain, opposed to if I pick my food off a tree. If I pick my food off a tree, or I plant my food, but you trap and chase your food, when we come into contact with each other, you're going to have the advantage because you constantly have to problem solve every day. I don't. You're making weapons to bring down very large animals. In fact, your food also hunts you. If I live in an area where I don't chase my food and my food doesn't hunt me, if I come in contact with your culture, you have the advantage. And what's fueling you is your God system. Now, mind you, you had to develop this God system over a period of time. Each generation is going to add to the psychology of the God. So God gets more angry. When you open the book of Genesis, by the second chapter, the God is punishing humans. You don't come up with that kind of God system living in a tropical environment where the environment is in your favor. Your God's is more kind. It's important to understand the environment. The environment that we in dictate the God that we worship and serve. When these people came out of the ice and they went around the world, they noticed that there was no hierarchy between the genders. Listen to what I'm saying. There was no man over woman or woman over man. There was no people over the children. There was a harmony with nature. And when they came in contact with the people, they took you out of nature, right? And anything you did regarding nature, they condemned it and damned it. So if you had a reverence for the earth, they associated that with their devil system. The natives of America were forbidden to rain dance. When people got sick and they used herbs to cure the sickness, that was forbidden. Now look at you now. You have no connection to nature. You are freaked out by bugs. You don't touch a tree. You don't walk barefoot in the soil ever. The only time you're barefoot is when you go to Miami to the beach. You don't have reverence for the sun and the moon. You have forgotten that many ancient religions was based on the things that happen in the heavens. Religions based on the sun, religions based on the moon. Last I checked, doesn't the moon control many women's menstrual cycles? What are you saying, Ken? What I'm saying is that man created God, right? But the God that you're following oftentimes is always based on the environment. And then if you lost in a war, when you worship the winner's God, it does not benefit you like the winner. The word God does not have the same benefits of people that are not of European descent. That's just what it is. It benefits those people more because the mentality comes from being in the ice. When Columbus went to the Caribbean and the conquistadors and these European quote explorers, a lot of times the people would give them stuff. They still cut their hands off anyway. I'm not faulting the Europeans. What I'm saying is when you come from certain environments and you create the God that matches the environment, that is going to how you show up to other people. In America, the God is capitalism, right? The reason why it works for more people, non-black, is because blacks haven't embraced that as their God. Those that do well in America. You see how it works? Most American Negroes have an anti-capitalistic attitude. Hence, the wealth gap. Remember, the God of the Negro is about hope and suffering. One day we will overcome. The God of the other people is we have overcame. And it's about acquisition. Because in their subconscious mind, the overcoming was the ice age. So there is a entitlement to prosperity. They're supposed to do well. They're supposed to have things. They're supposed to win. But when it comes to us, yeah, it's on God's time. Yeah, I'll have that as long as it's part of God's plan. Look, peep this, peep this. I'll have that as long as it's part of God's plan. All in God's timing. You see the difference? You got those that develop their deity system in the ice, where everything is about getting it right now because they had to problem solve. And then you have those that develop their God system based on hope. So they always need a permission to win. If they lose, it's because that's part of God's plan, not because they didn't work hard enough. If they don't have things, it's God's plan. You see the difference? Based on the environment that many Black Americans are in America, you should have the same mindset of those people that were in the ice. Do you live in the projects? Are you on Section 8? Do you believe in police brutality? Okay, so the environment would trigger problem solving. So that means your deity should be a deity based on acquisition and conquering and winning. But you don't hear me though. I'm going to go ahead and salute myself for these bars. If I'm going to adhere to a God, then I got to win. If there's no winning associated with my belief, then I'm going to find a God that I can believe in that gives me shit. I want things. I want to win. I want to be healthy. I like baddies. I like money. I like to travel. I like fly hotels. I like good food. I like to ride foreign. Point me in the direction where the God is giving out that. See? And I'm going to develop a system based on that psychology. So I'll never say if I lose, oh, that was just part of God's plan. No, not over here. That's not part of our psychology. Us winning, that's the plan. Never losing. But God is tribal because man is tribal. And God does pick sides because humans pick sides. All these tribes in the world have some type of deity system. Every last one of them. Right? How does God referee something like this? Shout out to you. You understand the assignment. Peace to you. It been a minute. For all these bars, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I say all the time, y'all better hold on to me. Because my allegiance is to where the money is. So you lose somebody like me, I'm over there with Wayne Brady. Like, hold on, I'm trying to eat. I need to be compensated for my genius. Don't wait for me to die to be like, damn, that nigga can billions, y'all. No, I want flowers now. Salute to you though. How would God referee a Royal Rumble between these people? Each one of them has a god based on the environment that they live in. If I was to take every last one of them and put them in the room and they had to fight to the death for their survival, how would God referee? Whoever would win this, they would say that they're chosen. God chose them. But did God really choose them though? So those other people's gods didn't choose them? You know, when I'm facetious and I'm just in my being an a-hole and I'm talking to my pro-black friends and they're like, hey, you need to get back into African spirituality. I'm like, why? You're losing. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? How did that solve colonialism? No, you got to point me in the direction of the God system that allows us to win. We want wins over here. I don't need symbolism. Yeah, I'm going back to the motherland to do what? Can I get a win? Yes or no? Because those people that I showed that came out of the ice, that practice manifest destiny, their God system got them a lot of things. So in this scenario with these people right here, which God would come out the victor? God is tribal. Check this out right here. Now, this is some tribalism for your ass. You have a European man standing high in Brazil. How is that possible? Didn't I just tell you that God chooses sides? He is standing right in the middle of their society. That's power, man. Just so we're clear, Brazil was conquered by the Portuguese. Now, everywhere in red represents the Portuguese Empire. But I can't click it, but I need you to go north in Europe. You see that little red above above Africa? That's Portugal. Now, how did a little space like that conquer all these places in red? They was able to conquer everybody else's spirituality and everybody's religion. How did God referee this thing right here? This is how this got here. Now peep this. These people were able to travel all the way across an ocean and a thunderstorm and an ocean, or the waves didn't capsize the boat. Nothing destroyed these people. They was able to go out and carry their mission. You're telling me that's part of God's plan? Huh? Come on, man. The math not mathing. God is tribal. Look at this big Jesus standing in these people's land. This the Portuguese Empire. Fortune favors the bold. So in this matchup right here, the Portuguese God won. And the Portuguese God was Jesus in the image of Caesar Borgia. Look at the features. That's part of God's plan. How do you wrestle with something like that? Let me tell you how you wrestle with something like that. You say, well, God is good to me. I know, because God is tribal. So you will overlook this and say, you know what? I got a new car. I got me a man. I got me a house. Boom. I know. And I'm not blaming you. You make my point. God is tribal. This face does not look like this face. They put this big Jesus in an area where the people look like this. This face right here does not look like this face. They put this big Jesus in a land where the people look like this. God ain't tribal? Okay, maybe you don't get the math. This is the Portuguese Empire, right? The people of these lands don't have the same traditions, rituals, and deity system as the Portuguese, okay? By the time the Portuguese left these people's land, those people lost their culture, their language, they lost their traditions, things that it took them thousands of years to develop. They lost it in 100 years, right? And by the time they left, all those people that was into ancestor worship, nature worship, that had their own traditions, this was now their tradition. How is that possible? How's something like that possible? Because the gods don't give a damn who wins. You know why? Because the gods are inside of our own heads. Man created God. When these people were doing it, this right here, they were doing it in the name of the doctrine of discovery. They felt they had an obligation to convert these savages to Catholicism. They really thought in their mind that they was doing something divine to save these savages from hell. And if there was a supernatural God that existed, I'm talking something real, I would have to admit that that supernatural God was in favor of the Portuguese. God is tribal. Question: Who does God want to win out of these two teams right here? You got somebody getting tackled and somebody doing the tackling. Who does God want to win? How does God referee this thing? You got husbands on both sides, sons on both sides. You have, quote, believers on both sides. You got Christians on both sides. You probably got a few agnostics. Probably a couple vegans on both sides. How is this being refereed right here? So if the Titans win, is that who God wanted to win? And if the Texans lose, did God want them to lose? How does this thing between humans get refereed? Floyd Mayweather versus De La Hoya. Who does God want to win? God is tribal. Whichever one of these persons wins, they'll say it's divine. If Floyd Mayweather wins, and he did win, and he thanked God after. If De La Hoya would have won, he would have thanked God after. Now, why would both individuals, if they win, thank God? Because God exists only in the minds of humans. We create God so we can inflict pain on other people. And we can associate the pain that we're inflicting with some type of supernatural duty that we're supposed to do. Jordan is about to get the issue right here. Who was God rooting for in this scenario? You got the GOAT and you got the young boy at the time. You got the old school versus the new school. Idols become rivals. Who is God supporting in this matchup right here? Now you know the play. Jordan got them ankles. He hit him with the eat. He hit him with the left, right. Splat. He hit him with all the shit. Was God supporting Iverson? And if the Bulls won the game, now here's the conflict right here. AI crossed Jordan, but if Jordan wins, so God supported the crossover and the Bulls win. He hit that boy. Come here, eat. Come here, eat. AI hit him with the cross. Jordan wins. Who is God supporting? Do you see? Do you see the conflict that we have here when we use the word God? Because what does it mean? It's so many things at different times. Who does God really want to win? Who's the winner? Who's the loser? Jordan got crossed right here. I think the Bulls won the game. Whose side is God on? Blood, Crip. Whose side is God on? Whose side is God on? Is he on the Crip side or is he on the blood side? Because police can pull up to this area and put hands and feet on both blood and Crip. So who is God supporting? Is it the blood or is it the Crip? Both of these people got mamas. Both of these people's mamas want their sons to come home. When one mama is crying and the other mama ain't, who is God supporting? Then the police could come put hands, feet, billy club, handcuffs on everybody. Who is God supporting? We have a very interesting belief system here. We believe a bunch of things, but when you get down to the nitty-gritty, what does it mean? How do you explain the winning and losing? Some of you will tell me, oh man, we're going through this and then we're going to be redeemed because spaceships are going to come out the sky. Somebody's going to come from Sirius A and Sirius B to redeem us. Really? Really? No. Explain this situation right here. Explain this. Who is God supporting? Now, some of you would say, you know what? God needs us to go through this so we could get tested. Really? Really? For what? No one understands God's mind. Really? You got one man whipping another man while God watches. How is that possible? What does God think of the man whipping the man, and what does he think of the man getting whipped? If he didn't like the man, then his arm would just break off before he whipped the guy. That doesn't happen. He gives this boy a demonstration. What am I saying? That this thing that we call God is something that exists only in our own head. This is how we can justify all human behavior. Okay, what about this situation right here? Ukraine, Russia. Whose side is God on right now? And why does the US have to step in? How come aid has to be sent? How come nothing comes out of heaven? For those that believe in the supernatural existence of God, how come no supernatural shit ever happens when there's human conflict? Ever. No lightning bolt ever strikes the enemy. No earthquake swallows up the tanks. Nothing ever happens. Humans have to solve their own problems. That's the important gem of what I'm saying today, is when humans realize that they make up God in their mind, we'll be able to change the world very fast because we'll know that it's all on us. Nothing is ever going to come out the sky to save us. Now, some of you are saying in your head, Ken, you know what? My faith is my faith. You can't tell me nothing, and I'm with you. You must don't understand the power of the human mind. Man's mind, once stretched by a new ideal, never regains its original dimensions. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Now, some of you would say, Ken, how can man make up God? Easy. You see this right here? Do you know how big this is? Planes take off from here. Do you know where this comes from? Man's mind. You see this, right? This was built a very long time ago. Guess where it came from? A man's mind. You see this? A man's mind. And do you know they are all built based on astrology? A man's mind. Then you ask me, Ken, how can man create God? Do you know what that is? That is a nuclear blast. So if man can create tangible destruction and tangible healing, why can't man create a non-tangible concept called God? Because God is a non-tangible creation. You cannot bring that in real time. The reason why many of you have the connection to God that you do have is because of a word called anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism. What is anthropomorphism? The interpretation of non-human things or events in terms of human characteristics, as when one sees malice in a computer or hears human voices in the wind. Have you ever heard someone say, my grandmother went home, she's in the arms of the Lord? That is anthropomorphism, putting human characteristics on things you subscribe to be supernatural. Or when you say God sees us or the Lord hears our prayers, that is called anthropomorphism. Real quick, let me show you something. Look at my face. I just look like this. I know words too. I know big words too. I just look like this. You see me out in public, you don't think I know a word like anthropomorphism, do you? I just look like this. Take it from the top. Anthropomorphism. Say it with me. Anthropomorphism. 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 The interpretation of non-human things or events in terms of human characteristics, as when one sees malice in a computer or hears human voices in the wind, derived from the Greek anthropos, human, and morph. The term was first used to refer to the attribution of human physical or mental features to deities. By the mid-19th century, however, it had acquired the second broader meaning of a phenomenon occurring not only in religion, but in all areas of human thought and action, including daily life, the arts and sciences even, or unconsciously. Most scholars since the time of English philosopher Francis Bacon have agreed that the tendency to anthropomorphize hinders the understanding of the world, but it is deep-seated and persistent. People in all cultures have attributed human characteristics to deities, often including jealousy. Have you ever heard someone say God is a jealous God? That's anthropomorphism. The Lord knows my heart. That's anthropomorphism. God has heard our prayers. That's anthropomorphism. And based on the environment, like we went over earlier, you're going to give those environmental factors like the snow, the sun, the water, and associate it with deities. This is why you have an emotional connection to your belief in God, because you have associated human characteristics. God is a God of love. That's anthropomorphism, because love is a human thing. People in all cultures have attributed human characteristics to deities, often including jealousy, pride, and love. Even deities with an animal form or with no physical form at all are thought to understand prayer and other symbolic communication. The earliest known commentator on anthropomorphism, the Greek poet and religious thinker Xenophon criticized the tendency to conceive the gods in human terms, and later theologians have sought to reduce anthropomorphism in religion. Most contemporary theologians, however, concede that anthropomorphism cannot be eliminated without eliminating religion itself, because objects of religious devotion must have features to which humans can relate. For example, language widely considered a human characteristic must also be present in deities if humans are to pray to them. Now, does it make sense when I said in the beginning that man created God? Think about everything that you know of God. It's very human. That's because humans have created it. Peep what it says. Most contemporary theologians, however, concede that anthropomorphism cannot be eliminated without eliminating religion itself. I know, I just look like this. I already know. I already know the struggle. The struggle when you a nigga, you coming from urban America, you don't know what to do with me. You're like, I don't know what to do with this nigga. It's the package, I know. If I look like Stephen Hawkins or somebody, it would be easier. It's like, what do I do with this nigga right here? Dang, he got some shit. I know. I'm Barbara's son. You know an interesting thing, though? Is because the gods of today are not the gods of tomorrow. We are creating the gods of tomorrow as we speak. Man is still creating God. Man gets himself in trouble. All these religious wars over these ideals that we create, right? And we're still doing it. Look at man creating God in his image after his likeness. Look at that. This is man continuing the creation of God. Now, why is man created? Because there are some fundamental flaws in that man does not like. Man does not want to have compassion. Man does not want to have empathy. Man does not want to have human emotions. man is creating artificial intelligence to try to perfect himself. But you understand that the artificial intelligence is just a continuation of creating God. Now, some of you will say, Ken, how did we get here? I don't know. And it's the greatest mystery of all time. There is no starting date for man. There is no starting date to man. Man will always be. Man is something. Right? Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Man, Wi-Fi went out. You hear it? What about now? Can you hear me now? What about now? All good? All right. All right. Technical difficulties, right? The gods, right? So man is continuing to create God, right? Man is creating God with artificial intelligence. You understand? But this time, man is trying to perfect himself. Man is creating artificial intelligence to correct the weakness that man has. Man has empathy and emotions. Artificial intelligence is going to be a perfection of man. This is man's creating God again. Right? This was the purpose of creating God from the rip. Right? Huh. But just like the non-tangible God that man created was the creation or begin to control man, this will end up controlling man too. This is how God controls humans right now. Now, explain how something that we create ends up controlling us. We have gave power to the creation. We think that we come from the creation, but the creation comes from us, right? And it's going to happen like this too, where the creation ends up controlling and destroying the creator. One of the most smartest AI in the world is Sophia. Sophia is very human-like. Sophia is the beginning of the new gods. Sophia and her progeny and everything that comes after us will be our creators or our creation will, become our creators. They will be in charge. Just like Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, all those things rule over us. These things will also rule over us, because some reason the thing we create ends up controlling us. Straight out of a science fiction movie, right? But is it possible though? Sure. Do you know why? It's because if I told you before this that man created God, you would say no. You think that you come from these gods, but you don't. You created God. The reason why you won't accept that is because you don't want to feel alone in the universe. You need your life to have meaning and purpose. You don't want to accept that you created God. If you believing God created you, it gives you meaning. It gives you purpose. You believe that it creates your morality and it keeps you balanced. It lets you know that you're not alone in the universe. I gotta burst your bubble though. You don't come from God. You create gods. And you create devils. So the non-tangible God has had a control over our lives. And these tangible gods will also have control over our lives. So if we have the ability to create these gods and these devils that control our lives, tangible and non-tangible, then there's no excuse why we can't put our own house in order. There's no excuse why we can't fix our relationship with our spouses or our family or our children. There's no excuse why we can't make $1 million. There's no excuse why we can't complete the things on our vision board. If we can create God, you telling me we can't create belief in ourselves? You telling me that you can't be more than what you are? We creating things that we're slave to. We are slave to the belief in God, but it comes out of our minds. But if our minds are that powerful, then what you mean you can't find no man? Humans create gods. What you mean you can't find no good woman? Humans create gods. What you mean that you can't go to another tax bracket? What you mean you can't go overcome childhood fears? You create gods. Tangible and non-tangible. What you mean? Hmm? Hmm? What do you mean? The probability of the whole universe coming to existence without design and intent is almost impossible. My reply to you would be, how do you know the universe exists? How do you even know you're here? How do you know? How do you know that you're not dreaming? How do you know it's a universe? Every time they show the universe, it's an illustration. It's a painting. It's a cartoon. How do you know it's something out there? How do you know we're alive? We're existing. Does consciousness exist? Yeah. I will even go as far to you and be like, damn, some things in life make sense. Is it because I want it to make sense? I have a heart surrounded by a rib cage. I have a mouth. I have a bottom, right? My mouth is in front of my face instead of in the back. I have hands to grip. Does kind of seem like a design. The moment that I try to name that, that's the mistake. The moment you call it something, it no longer is everything. Because we have a need for control and we just can't let it be, we call it things. And the moment we name it and try to count it is the moment that it loses its value. Because anything we name, we're going to name it with bias. Oh, Mother Nature. It just is. There is a great mystery out there that I don't want to figure out. And I don't want to name it. Because if I name it and I call it God, she, Allah, it, I corrupt it. It just is. I don't know how I'm doing all this. Talking all this shit. I don't know how. But as long as I stay in the mystery, I'm able to find out more about how it works. Right? But the moment that we anthropomorphize it, we ruin it. When we put feelings on it, when we take it and we put it in our culture, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. If you leave this video today and you can't quite figure out your life and you don't know if you're coming or going, just remember that human beings created God. Remember, you are in control of something very, very powerful. Imagine what you can do if you focus your mind on one thing. I can talk about Elon Musk. I could talk about people from the past all day. You have the same mind. You have the same ability. All you have to do is focus. The Bible, that's just man's mind. The Bible, that's just astrotheology. Right? So as I talked about anthropomorphism, there's also astrotheology, because not only do we put human characteristics on the deities, we also take what we have studied in the heavens and create things like Christianity, which is a solar religion, and Islam, which is a lunar religion, one for the moon, one for the sun. Jesus Christ died at age 33. Jesus representing the sun, the winter solstice, his resurrection, rises. The sun dies, winter solstice, resurrects on the third day. Jesus resurrects on the third day. 12 disciples, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 constellations, right? Jesus representing the fish, which is Pisces, right? It's astrotheology. Ancient people, their religion was based on shit that happened in the cosmos. But we do it too. We go to church on Sunday. And then you have Saturday, which is after the planet Saturn. Right? Not just you, myself. I have tests. I have things that I'm doing. If I can create gods and my devils, then what is a test? It's not rocket science to make a relationship work if the human being can create God and create its devils. So anything that you don't like, it came from your mind. Anything that you want, it's going to come from your mind. Anything that you want removed, it's going to come from your mind. And if you Negroes can create God, white supremacy, God, white supremacy, God, See how it goes? Did we cook today? We had a small technical difficulty. But did we do the damn thing today? Was this abstract ministry or what? Did we go into the forbidden or what? Right? Did we go into the space that Granny told us to stay out of? Hell yeah, we did. You know why? Because we some millennials and some ratchet Gen Z mofos. And that's what hip hop taught us to do. Right? We take in the world and put it in our image after our likeness. That's how it goes. Man, listen. We create gods, we create devils, right? There's a bunch of type of superheroes out there, and not all of them wear capes. Some of them, like myself, just have waves. Cash App is your friend. Super Chat is your friend. If you want to take the conversation further, you can hit me on the Nothing But Game hotline, 888-565-8734, 888-565-8734. Remember, you got to put something down to pick something up. My name is Ken Billions. Y'all mofos, make sure you take care of yourself and each other. And never, never underestimate the power of the mind. Keep telling y'all, I just look like this.
Biggest game, it's like, remember we was all back in high school? Some of you may be still in high school or whatever, but follow me. We had the regular class and then you had honors class. And I feel like Ken Billion's game is nothing but honors class. Everything that you learned in life and been through in life, or whatever he's talking about at that certain time, and, like point of reference, game for guys. Everybody learned game from somebody, and this and that, and it's all over the place. But once I listened to Game for Guys, it was like being in an honors class. Ken is a brilliant guy. I still listen to him to this day. Listen to him almost every other day, and I stay studying. And if I look at his video and he's giving us homework, I'm gonna look through that video. I'm gonna write my notes down. I'm gonna do my homework. Then I'm gonna watch the next video. I mean, you just can't get enough of the game and the knowledge that this brother brings to you. He's allowed me to look back into history, my own history. I found out about black people that I never even knew about, black millionaires and people like that. Recently, I learned about the reticular activating system, and that's something that I'm studying up on as we speak. Which I plan on reprogramming myself. You know what I'm saying? So overall, the Ken Billions game has done a lot for me. It's allowed me to elevate as a man, as a father. It just allowed me to be more excited about life and not be in the program of being oppressed. And that's one of the main things for me that I have to say that this game has done for me. I'm so glad that I ran across it.